Good afternoon.
Howdy, y'all. Hey, we're coming to you from the underground studio again, and we thought we would actually maybe talk about, I think, violence in America, because that seems to be one of the really predominant things that's going on in the mass media right now. So, anyway, we thought we'd talk about, I guess, the shootings that were down in El Paso and up north there, wherever it was, Dayton.
Within like 24 hours of one another. And it's very disconcerting because it happens way too much. And when we were growing up, that didn't happen.
Yeah, we were born back in the, I don't know, mid to late 50s, and there wasn't crazy people that went around shooting strangers. I mean, nobody really heard of that sort of thing until, who was that guy that was Whitman?
Well, Walt Whitman.
No, not Walt Whitman. But he got up in the tower in Austin on the University of Texas campus and started shooting people.
In the 60s.
With a deer rifle. That was, back in the 60s, I believe it was.
But, not to make excuses for him, but he was actually my big brother's Boy Scout leader, and he was really a good guy, except he had a brain tumor like the size of a baseball, apparently, and he just went nuts, killed his wife and killed his mother, I don't know, and then killed many, many people on campus. And that was the first time, but he had a huge freaking brain tumor, which would make anybody crazy. But these days, these usually young men are going and doing it for entertainment or maybe as a suicidal task, But either way, why is this happening? Why did we not even think about things like that? Violence was not a part of our culture when we were growing up, going to school, coming home, eating your Oreos, watching Leave It to Beaver. We didn't do that. We played outside. But my take on it is violence in the entertainment industry. I mean, I have seen firsthand young people, young men, mostly, that have just live on video games. And some of them, they should not be playing. And you know what I mean. Violent, killing policemen, It's just young kids doing it.
Grand Theft Auto comes to mind. And then there's some other ones, I don't know, Call of Duty and all those kind of things. And, I believed that for a long time, that the video games were, primarily at fault. I could see somebody, getting absorbed and playing that, 18 hours a day or whatever.
Young kids play it.
And, they just get a really change of perspective. And it's kind of a training tool, in my mind. You do whatever you train for. And if you are training, always shooting at people, reloading, doing all that kind of stuff, I don't know. It just seems to me that it definitely could be a contributing factor. But I did see a graphic that came on recently, and it showed the percentage of people, I don't know, per country, let's say, per capita, I think it was, not percentage. But there was this X number of people that played video games in all the different countries, kind of civilized countries, and then it showed the violence for each one of those countries. And it was minuscule in all the cases except for America. Had a really big spike. And if everybody was playing video games that were violent video games, now this didn't say video games that were violent per se in this graphic. It just said the per capita of people that played video games. Now, if anybody has any information that looks just at, violent video games that are maybe by genre, military or, Grand Theft Auto or whatever, and they can equate that to violence, I'd like to see that kind of information. But it looked like it was just America for some reason that was having all this violence. And some people would tie that to, there's more guns in America, because if you look in Japan or if you look in Sweden or whatever, these people are still playing a lot of video games, but they're not shooting everybody up. So is it the fact that we have, a lot of guns here? Congress did not give us the right to have guns. Our founding fathers basically said, you have the right to bear arms, and that shall not be abridged. They didn't give us the right to bear arms, basically. They were just saying that it's a human right to be able to have self-defense, and I believe in that.
I do too. But our founding fathers didn't have automatic and semi-automatic weapons.
Well, that's true, but neither did the military. Now the military does, and the reason the founding fathers wanted everybody in America to be able to defend themselves was against a tyrannical government. And a lot of countries maybe didn't have that, but America's history is the Brits said, we are going to rule over America, and we said, no, we're not going to be taxed and not have representation, so, we're going to do our own thing. And because the populace was armed, they basically were able to throw off the tyrannical, King George III, I believe. So, I don't know. I do think that we should be able to have and match firepower with the military. If the military ever wanted to turn on the citizens and say, hey, we're going to put you in concentration camps and y'all are going to eat this, Soylent Green or whatever, and we're going to say, no, we're not going to do that. And we need to be able to stand up to the military. Now, can you really, truly stand up with even an AR-15 or whatever? Can you stand up to, a Cobra attack helicopter or Comanche helicopter? Probably not so well. But, I don't think we can, everybody, get a tank and a bazooka and a whatever, F-16 to match, firepower with the military. But I don't know. I do think we need to be able to at least be armed to whatever any criminal element we might encounter on the street. So if somebody shows up with an AR-15 or an AK-47 or whatever, I mean, at the very least, you need to have something besides a number 2 pencil to protect yourself and your family. So I want to say that I am, and I think you should be. If you can physically be a concealed weapons carrier, then you should be, because, when there's trouble, it takes, some bit of time for the police to actually get there, and it's almost always what stops a bad person with a gun is a good person with a gun.
That's true.
I don't care if it's the police force or if it's a private citizen. That's usually what stops it. It's very seldom do they ever run out of ammunition and just put their gun down and say, oh yeah, let's go to jail. No, that's not the way it works. So I do believe in an armed populace, and if you are not a concealed carry person and you have the ability to be so, you should be, because it's becoming the kind of society where we, as law-abiding citizens, have to take it back from these nutso fruitcakes that are trying to ruin our society.
And why do we have nutso fruitcakes? Most of them young people? Let me tell you, our Hollywood movies, our video games, our TV, entertainment has turned into a glorification of murder.
It's just a big shoot 'em up, chase them down, shoot them up.
And these children that grow up with that are desynthesized. And I use that word strongly. Think about that word. I mean, they don't know any different. They see it all over. What about that new movie that they were going to release in September?
The Hunt, supposed to be coming out, where Hollywood said, oh, let's make a movie about these democratic elites, and they go to an island or something, and then they capture a bunch of, what was it?
Deplorables.
Supporters of the current administration. They put them on some little island or something
God.
somewhere. And then the Democrats go hunting them down, with high-powered rifles or bows
and it's
and
a
arrows
game.
or whatever.
It's a game.
Yeah, it's a game.
And Hillary Swank is in it.
That's what kind of stuff is coming out of Hollywood. If I was a stockholder in that, it was Universal Studios. If I was a stockholder in Universal Studios, I would be jumping up and down on the CEO's desk asking him, what is he thinking, spending millions of dollars making a movie like that?
Called The Hunt. To hunt your fellow Americans.
So if you are a stockholder in Universal, call and complain, email, whatever you can do, and get that movie removed, because we have to be citizens that are concerned and stand up to what is, we believe, wrong in our society, and that is just plain wrong.
Our entertainment is in the toilet.
Okay, well, enough said on that. If you have some comments about that, we would certainly love to hear them. But we also wanted to talk about prepping. And one of the things we wanted to mention is if you don't have a food supply, it's fairly cheap to just get you some basic rice and beans. And I just having a little example right here. You can get a quart jar and get some beans and, get a case of these. Get you a case of rice. Real easy. I mean, there's about $20 for, 25 pounds of beans. Same for rice. Put it up so that the, bugs can't get to it or whatever. And, put that down in your pantry. Make sure you have some way to, have plenty of water on hand.
Lots of water.
Yeah, you got to have a lot of water, at least a gallon a day for however long you want to survive. And that doesn't really, I don't think, include, cooking and bathing and all that. That's just for, staying hydrated. So anyway, we just wanted to encourage you to make preparations so that if anything bad does come, we're not, condoning any civil war. In fact, we're against violence. But the way things are going, who knows in this society nowadays what's going to happen. But anyway, that's our take on violence in America. We hope to hear from you. And anyway, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.